because it's showing mute on the owl.
Oh, then listen, because I can hear on my headphones.
There we go. Okay, I think we're good now. Go ahead.
All right, good morning, everyone. How are you? A little louder. Great, there you go. My name is Elle Martin, and I am actually today representing Identity Theft Resource Center out of San Diego. I live up in Provo area. I recently retired from BYU as a victim advocate, 18 years of law enforcement. And I worked for Provo Police for about 6.5 years on patrol. It's the best job in the world. And then a lot of our clients when you work in Provo and in Orem are a lot of college kids. And I love the college population. So I went to BYU and they had an opening and I made that transition. So I love it. I love what I do. But in July 1st, I retired from BYU. So it's different. But I want to tell you how I found Identity Theft Resource Center. I had a student at BYU that took pictures and, you know, as that sexting goes and puts them in trouble, he got exploited for over $15,000. Incredible. And I needed a resource for him. So I got on the internet and, you know, started Googling and I come upon the Identity Theft Resource Center, jumped on their website, learned all about them. It was really and it was free. That's what the neat thing about it is that this organization is free. It is funded by a grant from the DOJ, but it's an amazing, and so I gave them a call. I got to know a gentleman by the name of Randy Lawrence, and he's actually in Arizona. And he called me back and said, "Hey, Ellie, we'd love to help you. How can we help you?" And I was a sergeant over crime prevention at BYU, and on my website, I needed to have resources that our students, for no matter what they have been victimized, can go and find that resource. So I found this and he said, "Yeah, we would love to have you on board." I signed an MOU, memo of understanding, simple, basically we be nice to each other and talk nice about each other. That's about as simple as it is. And got him on board. And a couple of weeks later, he called me and said, "Hey, Ellie, I'm going to be in Salt Lake. Me and Mona and a couple of the others will be in Salt Lake doing a presentation. Come up and listen to us." So I went up and listened to a presentation they did. And a couple of weeks later, they called me and said, "Hey, we'd love to have you part of our community outreach team." And I love crime prevention. That's my passion. So anyway, so Identity Theft Resource Center, it's a nonprofit, started in 1999 and it's free. I'm going to kind of go through these slides because I want to make sure we stay on the time. So I won't read everything, but I want to pick out the highlights. So okay, it has the largest data breach tracking. It is incredible. If you want to know if any company that's like AT&T, that's how I found out my information was breached twice, was by identity theft. AT&T, Target. You want to know if any organization that you have an account with or something like that, go to that and you can look at that. It's really pretty incredible. Okay, we're going to talk about what's identity, how thieves steal your information, and how the criminals misuse it. And detecting, resolving, and then, you know, how to protect our data and devices. Okay, identity. We have credentials. We have attributes, behaviors, and biometrics. There's a lot. Your credentials is unique to you because there's only one social security number, but we know people like to borrow people's social security numbers for many different reasons. And we all have probably stories about that. Birth certificate, driver's license, and so on. Attributes, your name, your phone number. I know that there's another, my given name is Ellen, but I go by Elle Martin, but I know there's another Elle Martin up in Salt Lake area because I get her medical bills all the time. So I know there's another one. So, and then of course we have the behaviors, you know, people, the bad guys learn about us by our social media, what you look at, what you're posting and things like that. So your behaviors also help identify who you are. And then biometrics, voice, your finger thumbprint, and your face, of course. Okay, again, the unique ones, your social security number, birth certificate, those are pretty critical. And we need to keep them safe. I always was baffled when I would do a traffic stop and for whatever reason, if I had to search the car, you're looking in the glove box or their console and you see their social security card. Do any of you, have you ever seen how people just have their social security card all the time with them? You don't need that with you. I always encourage the students, file it away at home. You don't need it. You don't need it. Everyone has a social security number memorized. I don't know if any of you are from Idaho. Anybody from Idaho? And maybe other states were like this, but when I got my driver's license, I got it at, it's gonna scare you, but 13, that's when you allow you to take driver's ed in Idaho. I grew up in the Bear Lake area, you know where that is. And our social security number was your DL number, so things have changed a lot. So again, that number is unique to you. Financial accounts, username and passwords. Okay, attributes, just briefly, that's pretty much self-explanatory there. Date of birth, that's used a lot in identity theft. Okay, downloading. Again, what your browsing history is gonna be. And we're gonna get you to the others. Okay, lost or stolen. When people lose their information, lose their wallet, purse, or someone steals it, we always encourage, please make a report. Even if it's never recovered, or maybe it was recovered by somebody that is going to be using it for fraudulent purposes. So we always encourage make a police report. I am a documentation queen. I really believe in that. Whether you ever, I had a girl that was being stopped. She was at BYU, Idaho, was coming down to Provo, and the gentleman that was stalking her, she was 18. He was 49. Okay, so we definitely have a problem there. And he kept after her. Long story short, this went on for 2 years. Then she went on her mission to Australia. That's probably the only time she has ever felt safe. She come back to BYU in Provo, and he found her again, and he followed her everywhere. She was from North Carolina. He went back to her house, and he doesn't have a car. He literally hitchhikes, or if he gets someone to buy him a bus ticket. I actually served him a stalking injunction. Luckily, I found a very good patrolman from Boston, Massachusetts. And they were able to find him in a local soup kitchen and serve him. But all that documentation, I kept telling her, Sophie, you just gotta document, even if you think everybody in his family was included on the stalking injunction. And we finally caught him, and after the stalking injunction was served, he went to her house. Luckily, she was not there at the time, but her father was. Called the cops, she got arrested, and then I got a call about, I don't know, a couple months later, kind of scared me. First I said, is this Sergeant Martin? I said, yes, it is. Well, this is, I can't remember his name. I'm from the FBI in North Carolina. I thought, oh my goodness, that just scares you. What did I do wrong? But he said, I just want to commend you on your report. And I said, excuse me, report? And he says, do you know Sophie, whatever? And I said, yes. And he goes, well, we finally caught him, and he is now in custody because of the different crimes in the state lines he went over. It became a federal thing, and he is now locked away in he needed a mental institution. This gentleman was very kind of sick. He reminded me of what is his name? David Mitchell with the who I'm trying to talk about, with Elizabeth Smart. That's who he reminded me of. Kind of looked like him too. So anyway, so back to if you lose it, I tell my victims, please document it, make a police report, because you might need to go back and get it, especially if they start opening accounts and things like that in your name. Okay, the data breach again. How many of you had your data compromised, breached? So a lot of hands go up. So it does happen. But again, jump on their websites one of these times and kind of gander through it. You'll be impressed. Of course, devices get hacked. That's always scary for domestic violence victims. You always wonder, how does that get hacked? But the bad guys are good. Those bad guys are very good. The remote access to me is a scary thought. Okay, scams, they come in many forms. I've got some little tiny red notes for myself there. The romance, I have an Uncle Larry, and he lives in Wyoming. I asked him if I could use this story. He said, of course. About close to 3 years ago, my aunt died, my Aunt Karen. And Uncle Larry's now 87, but so 3 years ago, he was on social media, not a lot, he's not one of those, he's 87 now, not one of those ones that knows a lot about tech, but he can get through it. And it's kind of kept him going, all the nieces and nephews and the grandkids. So, but he met somebody, and he apparently was communicating with her for about 3 months before he told anybody else. And this is how she found him. And I say she, them. This particular individual, they go to the obituaries, and he lives in Rock Springs, Wyoming. they go to the obituaries and they find the deceased, whether it's the, the man or the woman. And then they go to the website or Instagram or social media. She found him on Instagram. And no, correction, I'm sorry, it was Facebook. And found him, realized he was, and then the communication started. And you all know that the grooming process, it takes to build that trust. Well, it didn't take long for him to just fall right into that. And this was only about 6 months after my aunt had died. And so he groomed, and pretty soon Ellie had met this wonderful person. She is such a good Christian woman. She's 33 and he was 85. So again, we know what the intent is there. And so I got on Instagram, found her, asked if I could be her friend. And of course, this person was supposed to be a videographer for weddings and things like that. I was booking a wedding with them. I told them I wanted the organization on Main Street. They said that they were from, it's a little town over by Price. Anybody here from Carbon County? But it was over by Price. So this story can go long and I won't take it too long. But after I got on and saw the pictures, yeah, she's a real Christian woman. And I saw the pictures and I said, Uncle Larry, this is a scam. Oh, it can't be. And I go, yes, it is. His daughter-in-law works for a judge over in Rock Springs, and she's been through cases. She understands how this works. We talked to him over and over and over and said, Uncle Larry, this is a scam. He didn't want to believe it. And then his granddaughter comes over and does the trails once a month. And she starts seeing these little higher charges, it's a charge on his credit card through Smith's where he shops. And then she starts seeing the credit cards on the table with the numbers scratched off on the back. So that's how he started. I believe he was in at about $3,300 before he realized. And how he started to believe us is I called Carbon County and made a report with them and had one of the deputies drive out. So the deputy goes out to the actual address where this person said they lived. And he calls me and said, hey, Ellie, I know these two families. It's a duplex. This person doesn't live here. And that's when he started to think, okay, maybe this is a scam, but they fall for it. But going to the obituaries, to me, that's pretty pathetic about getting them. The government official, you've all heard, you've missed your trial, your jury duty, you've got outstanding warrants and things like that. My nephew, James is 33 years of age. He's a journeyman plumber. He's a very smart young man. I'm just on my way, actually to BYU. I was working at the time and I get this phone call and he's in a little bit of state of panic. And I said, James, what's wrong? Son, everything okay? Because I just got this strange call from somebody saying that they're from Utah County and their deputy badge number. The badge number was like eight or nine numbers. We know that's kind of odd right there. That's not going to happen. And he starts saying that, you missed jury duty, there's a warrant for your arrest, went through all this thing. It scared him. He goes, all of a sudden you get this phone call. But as we talked to him, I said, James, it's a scam. They are not going to, this is not how they do arrest warrants and things like that. So anyway, as we talking, he tells what's going on. He finally realized it was a possible scam when the caller says, don't hang up, keep me on the line. It's a huge red flag, and gave him the address where he needed to go buy a gift card. And I said, James, is that, he goes, yeah, that's where it's starting to sound silly. And I go, yeah, you're right. And when he gets there, he says, the address where the bad guy gave him was not the address that he should have been to. He goes, oh, wait, I gave you the wrong address. Go to this address. And he goes, all right, this is a scam. And he went to a little gas station in this little town in Montana where he was working, a little gas station. I go, really, James, are you going to go pay your warrant or any fee at a local gas station in a completely different state? So, but even, he's a bright young man, but it scares you enough because what's the first thing these bad guys want you to work off from? Your own what? Fears about it. Yeah, they want to just, press that fear button on you. So, okay, as you can see, there's a lot of ways they can scam. Look at this, kind of interesting. Mike from ITRC, Identification Center, added this to the slides. I thought this was kind of interesting. But if you look at them, you can see the grammar errors. And that's probably one of the biggest red flags that happens a lot. So, and of course, I always tell my kids, don't ever click on a link, not on your phone, not anywhere. So that's not how your final notice is going to be. It just doesn't happen that way. Let's see, of course, the numbers to call. Same thing. It's kind of interesting. How many of you have had the Geek Squad renew? Yeah, that one. And what else is out there? The renewal, your iCloud account. There were quite a few. Say again, say again.
Amazon Prime.
Yep, yes, Amazon, Netflix, okay, your Netflix account's gonna be suspended. Well, if you didn't pay your bill, they're gonna turn you off, right? And then you're gonna say, hey, why is my Netflix not working? And well, yeah, you paid your bill, your bill, maybe your card expired, you hadn't renewed it or something like that. They're not gonna come and threaten you like this, so. Okay, email scams, that's a big one. Again, here's the Geek Squad. I find it interesting. The very first one I got several years ago, it was always an even number, like $300, $350. They try to change things up. This is now it's $299 just to kind of catch. I don't know why, but I just noticed the pattern a little bit. Okay. Has anyone had any elderly grandparents be exploited or threatened and things like that? Okay, my father-in-law did. My daughter Mickey, she's actually down in St. George with me this weekend. But this happened like 3 years ago, and you know, she's 43, so it was 40 when it happened to her. And she was supposedly somewhere in Canada and got picked up and had a warrant for her arrest and needs as much money. They called grandpa and he's just panicked as well. And of course that got straightened out quickly, but he fell for it very quickly.
Regarding your today's purchase on Amazon.com. You have been charged $1,279.99 on your default card saved on Amazon.com. If you have not made any such transaction, then please press 1 to cancel your order. Else, if you have made this purchase on Amazon.com and recognize it, then please press 2 to cancel your order.
It starts without me telling it to, so we'll put the mic up.
Regarding your today's purchase on Amazon.com.
It's if you don't worry about it.
I don't think it'll go to
Don't even. That's. Get further away.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, that. Last night. That's a big problem. You know, someone can say, go into, say a bank and say, I can't remember my username and my password. But that guy has all your personal information, maybe your address, phone number, your date of birth, some of your information is compromised. And flow out on the dark web, your control friends and your teams. And then find one back information, go in the bank and say, oh, here's the date of birth. You know, they're not. You know, so it's very your account. My brother, it's interesting, just before I came, was really sick. And my brother called him, he's on his way out there. So he was on to Wyoming. He said, oh, what's going on? And he tells me that he received a credit card from US Bank. And he goes, I don't even have an account with US Bank. And he actually received the credit card. And when he opened it up, there's the card, you know, congratulations, here's your card, activated. And so he actually went to a US Bank over in Rock Springs, since he was over there, went in person and they looked it up. They said, yeah, this is a valid account, open in your name. Alan says, he goes, I've never had an account with you. And so they immediately got the fraud department, you know, stopped the card and things like that, and started to charge things against him. And so that's where he goes, what do I do? And so, well, that is the Identity Theft Resource Center, so he actually made a call to them. And I said, they will walk you through this, but he couldn't believe how simple it was for someone to get his information. So again, your information can be stolen and it's out there on the dark web somewhere. So it's compromised. Maybe you might not ever be that victim, but a lot of people are. So account takeovers is very, very important.
Okay. Whoops, there you go. Is that that?
Okay, so that works, that's good. Okay, new accounts, again, this is what they did to him, they opened up a new account and then started charging on him. Luckily, he got it. It's very important that when you get your mail, how many of you get pieces of mail from different organizations, banks, financial institutions that say you have been pre-approved or you've been approved? I really encourage you, and I did this, why I did it, but I opened up a piece of mail and it said, you've been approved, your card will be coming in such an envelope, so you know, it's not obvious too that there's a credit card inside. I was approved for something I never applied for. So when you get your mail, it doesn't hurt to open up your mail and look at that really quickly and say, wow, okay, or if someone says that you've been declined, if you're getting letters that you've been declined, someone's using your information. That should be a red flag to you to go in and change your passwords on your account to make them strong, okay? Because that could just have that domino effect. Okay, fraudulent employment. When I saw this slide months ago when I started, I remember taking a case when I was with Provo, and the mother called and said, my 3-year-old just got a letter from the IRS saying that they're not paying their taxes, so, he's up like $15,000-$16,000 he had made that year, this little 3-year-old, you know, and that's really unfortunate because if those, I don't think notifications went out like that as much as they do now, but some of the special populations of foster youth, we'll talk about that a little bit. But it's sad because sometimes these young kids don't know that it's happening, and then all those years of stuff that's happening to under their identification. So that was a very unfortunate there. I did find the guy actually, and he went to county jail. Okay, fraudulent tax filing. Everybody, I always tell the BYU students when I do the crime prevention and safety beginning every semester, fall, September and January, I tell them tax season comes around, please be aware. Please be aware and, you know, attention if you get any notifications in the mail. So that's very frequent. Okay, resolving common ways to become aware. Again, if you're notified by a financial institution, take a second to look at that information. It's not been shredded up. If you've been denied a job, benefits is what's really sad. When I don't know if you saw the story that came across, it happened mostly back east, but it happens everywhere. This particular story came back east where people with SNAP benefits, somehow someone got their information and got the SNAP card. So that's so, or they're denied a job. If you get a letter in the mail saying you've been denied a job, anything, information you get, you've been denied, that should be a red flag too, to get you to look further into it. Victims are not alone. There are people to help you. Again, identity theft. There's the time, 6 a.m., 5 p.m. Pacific time. These people are wonderful. The office is out of San Diego, but everybody is all around the US. We have them in Texas, in Florida, Las Vegas, San Diego, San Francisco, they're everywhere. This is a really amazing group of people that really do care. And the people that the victims call, it's so cool that Beatrice said that she met Cindy Morales. It's so neat that you have met her, and she was going to follow up with Identity Theft Resource Center. So we just connected that. So I'm so glad. I can't wait to tell Cindy that, hey, we're here doing that. But they will call, phone and chat. They won't ask personal information. I mean, they're not going to ask for social security numbers and things like that, because you just got exploited, or, you know, with all your information. Having to have someone else ask you for that personal information makes you kind of nervous. So they don't ask for that kind of stuff. So that should make them a little more. The foster youth, I just did a presentation virtual with Georgia State University. It was all on foster youth, and that's a whole nother presentation. But the stories that happen, it's really sad when a 16-year-old is now old enough to go get a job, but yet they've been in the foster system for a long time. You may be going from family to family, and a lot of the bad guys are family members that, you know, that they're bouncing from household to household. So the time they go to get a job, and you run a credit report on that young person, wow, you know, it's just horrible. So running a credit report is very, very important as well. Foster youth and human trafficking, we're all aware of human trafficking, the trafficker, you know, will, you know, you're gonna use this, you're gonna open it, they're gonna open accounts in their name, you know, they're all under their power and control. And then even if they're not with that trafficker anymore, they still have that information, it can continue and continue, so the long-term effects can go on for a long, long time. Domestic violence, I thought this is kind of interesting. Your account takeovers is one of the biggest, it's because we are too lax on our passwords. And I don't know if the slide's gonna come, but I'll tell you, I teach the kids at BYU, and a lot of them asked, you know, I speak in a couple of family financial classes where just on financial crimes, and this is how they asked me, Ellie, what do you do to protect yours? I'll give you an example, and you might want to use it and maybe tell your victims. If I was gonna open an account at Walmart, my password would be Walmart with a capital W. And then I pick a favorite song, okay? It's not the Pledge of Allegiance, but maybe the Pledge of Allegiance or something like that, a phrase or a song. So it'd be Walmart, Pledge of Allegiance, then I pick 4 numbers. Don't use your birth date or anything like that. Maybe use a grandpa's birth date or something like that. It has a different last name that wouldn't be easily connected. And then either a pound sign or an asterisk, or something like that. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, is it long? Yeah, it is, but it's safe. Now, if I was gonna go to Smith's and do the same thing, it's gonna be Smith's, same thing. And so, and it's worked. I was walking across campus one time and this kid said, Sergeant Martin, hey, I did that. I changed all my accounts. That's the smartest thing I've ever done. So that's just a way of doing it. But they do tell you to make long passphrases or, you know, something like that. So keep that in mind. Okay, the homeless, of course, the hardest thing I think for the homeless is that they don't have any place to store their documents. A lot of their documents, they just carry in their backpacks. I've unpacked a lot of backpacks on some searches, and the documentation they have, that's it. I mean, you say things wadded up, folded up, dirty, but that's all they have. And if someone takes that or steals that, they, you know, their information stolen, they're compromised in so many ways, so. Okay, blind low vision. This is a sad thing because there's actually a presentation on this one as well. But when someone has poor vision, I mean, I could be at my computer and I have to have certain glasses on so I can see real good, but you know, so many feet. But if they have poor vision and can't see, or they're totally blind, they can't hover over a URL to see if it is the exact URL and things like that. So if you're working with victims like that, ask them, do you have someone that you can trust that can work with you when you're checking out websites or creating accounts and things like that? Because if they can't see the URL, you know, there's the one, it was a previous slide where the return address for the so-called business was a Hotmail account. That should be a huge red flag right there. So you all know that you can just hover over the email address on your computer. When you open up your mail, it'll drop down and it'll, you know, see that email. That's the biggest one right there. But again, if you don't know the person anyway, be very careful about responding. So, okay, how to protect yourself. Again, upgrade your passwords, 1 password per account. So mine is different for every account. I don't even have to remember them now. My brother said, how do you remember all your passwords? And I said, I use a system, and the only change in each password is the organization that I'm making it for. And he goes, that makes now, I'm 63 and getting older, so who knows, that could change. Might have to have my kids start doing that, I don't know. But use a password manager. I have a password manager called LastPass. You ever heard of it? Anyone ever heard of LastPass? It's a big company. It got reached. I didn't know it got reached until I was looking on Identity Theft Resource Center, their reaching tab there, and I had no idea. And I was trying to get in, and I was getting this weird messages, and I panicked at that moment because I have everything in there. And someone said, well, why did you go back to them? LastPass is a good company. If they got breached, the hacker was good. You better believe they just stepped and learned from that and stepped up their security. So it's not always bad, but I don't think I'm going to use anymore because I kind of got my old system. But so password manager is okay. I think your cell phones have them and things like that. But again, make sure your securities are set appropriately on that. Again, pick a book quote. song lyric or movie quote. 16+ characters. I've been working with Costco, their main office in Costco is up in Seattle. And they only allow you, I think it's 12 characters, something like that. And I actually kept on them and kept on them, and they finally got back with me and I said, you've got to change your requirements for your passwords. I said, you're making it very easy for someone to get in. So I have no idea if I've gone back in and tried, but it's very important that they do that. Okay, how many of you use the MFA, the multi-factor authentication? How many of you use that? I would highly recommend you use that. Okay, I put all my accounts like that, which means, you know, if I'm going to log into US Bank, US Bank's going to send me a text. Someone's trying to log into your account. I hit yes, it's me. Sometimes there's a number, sometimes, you know, whatever, a 3-digit, 4-digit, put that in there and then it's cleared. So I would highly recommend you do that. And again, go in and check your securities on all of your accounts. Okay, credit card freezes. On a credit card freeze, how many of you are aware of all the credit bureaus? TransUnion, Experian, what's the other one? Equifax. There's a few other ones, but those are the 3 major ones. When my dad got breached with AT&T twice, I had one attempt on something. It's been so long ago, I don't even remember, even before I got into all this financial crimes training. And I was a little concerned about it. So I went in and I froze all my accounts. Okay, I just went in and froze them. And I was, in 2022, my vehicle died. I went and got a new vehicle and they were running my credit. And they said, hey, Ellie, we can't get to you because it's frozen. So you can go in and you can thaw your credit, unfreeze it, whatever you want to call it, for a certain time frame. I gave them 1 hour and then it automatically freezes it back up. And I did follow up to make sure it did freeze back up. So I would highly recommend that you do that for yourself. And if a victim you're working with a victim that their information has been breached or whatever, this is a good way to protect it for the future as well. If someone's going to try to open a credit card in your name, they're going to run, most likely, if they're like US Bank, big organizations, they're going to run a credit check. Okay, they're going to run a credit check. So make sure you do that. Let's see, keep your documents safe. Again, the homeless, some of our victims that are maybe on the run, maybe they're staying at the homeless shelters, things like that. Talk to them, make sure that they have a safe place to keep their documents. So don't carry the blank checks, can't tell you how many checkbooks I would find that are not in the person's name that I was working with, so make sure. And then shredding your documents containing any personal identifying information at all. Okay, this is interesting. Take a second to read down through those, but keep all software up to date. Make sure you set on all your devices that it automatically updates when there's updates. Sometimes I've had 2 updates just on my iPhone. I get a notification. It runs every night, you know, so make sure it's set up to run every night. But sometimes I'll get 2 notifications that there's 2 different updates. So something's going on, whether it's for the safety purpose or just for, you know, your phone will function more, function better. Make sure you do that. Caution about using public Wi-Fi. There are skimmers. You ever heard the word skimmer? Skimmers, you can be standing in line, and I think of this because this is the first thing that comes to my mind. You can be standing in a ticket line, maybe at USANA Amphitheater, and you know, in the will call waiting to get your tickets. And if you have a credit card, skimmers are there, and people can pick up information. So be very careful. There's certain type of envelopes, or I should say little covers for your credit cards that help protect that and block that. But yeah, using a VPN, I've been considered doing that myself, but public Wi-Fi at the airport, I think makes me very nervous. So just be careful. Back up your data. If you haven't got an external hard drive, I would encourage you to do that. Back up all your data. Lock your screen, of course, when you're not using it. All my grandkids know my password, so they get in and play games, but use only official app software. There's the 3 major ones there. If you have face, opportunity for face identification, I would use that. The thumbprint and the biometrics, make sure you are using that. And Find My Phone, iPad, I know if it's turned off, they can't, but at least if someone stole your phone and they didn't turn it off for a little bit, at least if they turn it off, you know that last location. So make sure you have that capability turned on as well. And then set a SIM pin for the carriage prevent SIM swapping. So that's very important as well. Okay, you're gonna contact us. There we go. I have had the chance to visit with a few law enforcement agencies, but I'm hoping that you will take this information back. And there is our information, but let me give you my personal email for it. You will take this down. I will come and do presentations to whoever is over supervises your organization. And again, this is free service for victims. And it's a great company. But my email is ellie@idtheftcenter.org. I'm sorry, .com, .com. No, I take that back. It is .org, sorry. Mine is a little different. That was different from Andy's, so.
Say that again, please.
It's ellie@idtheftcenter.org. That goes to me personally. There's the general one, but send it to me. But again, I will come to you. We can do it virtual. I will drive to your office and meet. I just recently met, we're gonna be hopefully doing some training in January with Provo. For officers. Chief or Assistant Chief Jensen said that a lot of the new officers that are coming into the law enforcement aren't aware of a lot of this information. A lot of us have learned a lot of this by working with victims. It never amazes me, the new stories and the new, the new ways that the bad guys are doing this, so. But yeah, if you want to give me a call, let me give you my phone number as well. The phone number there will go, that's if you need help on the victim services, but call 801-427-2610. Actually, I would text me because my phone gets so many spam calls that if it doesn't recognize your phone number, you're automatically gonna be kicked to voicemail. So text me, hey Ellie, I was at a training in St. George on identity theft. Will you give me a call or whatever? I'd be happy to help. Yes, ma'am.
When I got here yesterday, I looked up a friend that used to live here in St. George. I was to find out, I found a obituary. I found an obituary. It is absolutely scary when you see what's in an obituary. Their parents' names, their spouses' names, their children's names, who's gone before them, who's still there. How many grandkids they have, how many great, and all the things they like to do, is they're big fishermen or, hunters. What kind of, right, it's scary when you get all the information they got just from one obituary.
And they can take that name, go to Facebook, do a search and find that individual.
Yeah, so if you wanna talk to that person and say, oh, I used to go fishing with your son-in-law, or, there's so much information that makes their scams real.
Right.
But that's really scary.
It is.
We gave an obituary for my son just to the family. The one in the paper was his name. Yeah, that's it. I think maybe that needs to be considered when people start putting information in that source.
Very good point, very good point. Last fall, I was getting ready to do, we call it new student orientation. And I was sitting in my office and I received a phone call on my work cell phone. And I said, hello, this is Ellie. And the student on the other line, the female, was just literally screaming. And I said, who is this? Are you okay? I'm coming to see you. She was running, I could hear her running. And I said, where's your office? And I said, I'm in the Jesse Knight building. She runs to my office and I met her out front, brought her in. And she had received, this is an interesting, it's kind of exploiting, but still it's still part of the scam process. But she's a beautiful Polynesian girl and she received a text, an email on, I should say Facebook, reached out to her. They wanted to, it was a magazine company, so-called magazine company, and they want to use her picture for a front of a magazine, and they'll pay her $400 one time. Okay, well, you're a college student, what we call starting college students, right? She was just, of course, it's gonna get your interest, and she said, yeah, I'd love to. She talked with her mom and dad, the contract was pretty vague, but, to the point, but, not a lot of details that would scare you, which would be a red flag. There should be a lot of stuff in there. And she went and she accepted that. So we'll send you a check in the mail. We'll use the picture on the Facebook page that you post. And so, of course, the check was a fraudulent check. She calls them back. And of course, then they're exploiting that, you're gonna do this, we're gonna kill your parents, we're gonna kill your family. And the the sad part about it was what you put on social media, again, kind of along the line of yours, what you put on social media, that's what they learn about you. And so I told her to calm down, and she goes, they sent me these videos. I said, have you looked at these videos? And she said, no, and I opened one of the videos, and it was absolutely horrendous, graphic killings. And I said, don't, so we deleted them off the phone. I've seen them a couple times before, so we just deleted them off her phone. And calmed her down, and I said, just be aware, go into your Facebook. I tell my kids, be careful what pictures, you make your accounts private, because you put my grandkids on there and stuff like that, everyone's gonna know about that. But I told her to go in, change your settings, make it a private, maybe take your photo down, put a picture of your animal or pet or something like that, but I don't have mine on there, I think I might have one of them, but so that's what she did. But later on that day, when I was at the Wilkinson Center at the information fair that gives the kids all information about all the departments on campus, she comes running up to me and she's crying. And I said, what is going on? And she goes, look at this text. And I read it, and the text said, we are going to kill your family. We know where you live. We know where you live in Houston. We're going to come and kill your family. She was very, very frightened. And I said, okay, let's stop and think about this. On your Facebook page, what information did you put about you? And she goes, oh my gosh, I put that on from Houston, Texas. And I said, but that's all they have. And I said, and they kept going and going, and I said, block them. And of course, when a bad guy knows that the phone number they are using, or that's communicating back to them, when they know it's a good one, your number is shared over and over and over. So I said, just keep blocking. I said, don't feed the fire. You respond, they're gonna keep going. So I just, everything that comes in, block it and delete it, don't open anything, and it finally did go away, but very frightening on your first day of school. So, any questions, any unique, so we still have a few minutes. Anybody have a unique story about you want to share on scamming and being a victim?
Yes,
Yes.
it's horrible, obviously, but my sister just experienced, she has, let's get to the.
Thanks.
Okay. No, I was talking about.
That's for the people online.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
There we go. Want to do something?
Sorry, I don't know how to turn on a microphone. I'm gonna get scammed. So I know, but AI is an issue because, my sister, has a daughter who's homeless and has some issues and been in and out of jail. So currently she's out. And so we know that, but my sister gets a phone call with an AI voice that sounds just like her daughter crying, saying, now how involved? I don't even, we're trying to put it all together, like what? And says, I need this, I need this. And actually her daughter may have needed something, but she checked with her right away and it wasn't even her. So I think it's the AI element is going to really push it over the edge, the scam.
It hasn't even begun yet, has it?
Oh.
Yes.
Actually, thank you. It actually already has. That was gonna be similar to mine. You just need 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And probably less now, but a little while ago, it was just 10 seconds. So if you do a story or a reel or any type of Instagram video, they can take your image, your gestures, your voice, and transform that into screaming or I need help, or, and as soon as you respond, oh, the call's breaking up, I can't understand you, please send the money now. And it works on that fear of like, and especially if you're a grandma or a mother and or a father, and you just are going on that emotion and it looks just like them. So it is already able to imitate voice and gestures in your face. Pretty fairly accurately. If you're looking at all the videos online where AI has taken things that look, we're already in the midst of what's fake, what's real. They're doing that now. So when you post on social media, just be aware if you're making that public, then anyone can have access to that.
Thank you, that's right on. I don't even think we even cracked the beginning of what AI is gonna do. I have been reading and studying for a while about what AI can do to promote domestic violence, because they can go and create that partner and have that partner be what they want them to be, submissive or whatever. it hasn't even begun on that one, but if you ever have a chance to go in and find training on that, I would highly recommend that. It's pretty incredible. And again, we're just beginning on that phase there, so. Anybody else like to share anything? Stories always get the wheels turning in our heads of what's going on out there. Yes, Ruthie, please.
Sorry, just one more. Only because you brought up the domestic violence. I had a case where one of my victims' children had a smartwatch. And the offender was using their child's smartwatch to track and follow them around. And she's like, I already had checked because we were talking about, safety and doing all the, making sure that you're locked down on social media. She had a bug in her vehicle. They found the GPS after they had to tear it apart, but then it ended up being the smartwatch on the, what was both? The
Because they're
GPS in the vehicle and then also the smartwatch on her son.
Scary, isn't it? Very scary stuff. Okay, was this helpful information? I hope. Maybe just Lisa said, get the wheels turning in your mind. Again, give me a call or send me a text, drop me an email. Hey, Ellie, my sergeant, lieutenant training officer would like more information. It's free. We come to you. Or we can do it virtual and let us help you. And again, it's free for your victims. We have a great customer service support team that will help them. And so if I can answer any of the questions, just let me know. Okay. Thanks so much, you guys. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. I think we always appreciate a quick little break before our next presentation. So I appreciate you, Ellie. We'll go ahead and just take a quick 5-minute break to help break up our presentations, and then I'll get Lonnie Stone from the Utah Crime Victims to Go Clinic set up online and to provide our next presentation. But please, we have water, but we also have coloring in the back as well, bookmarks and any additional information. We also have additional handouts from the OVC as well. So if you want those, just please let me know and I'm happy to mail them out to you as well for your agency. Thank you.